Hey, what's up, everybody? This is John, Big Dog Wagner. Hope everybody's doing good. So, I promise you guys, next video I was going to talk about how to make money. This is going to be a two-part video. The first part, I feel is kind of important, and that is that obviously you guys have seen the videos where people are talking about you can't make money at Super Ego. Now, I told you guys I was always going to shoot it straight. I don't BS people. I'm straight up. Okay. There are a few reasons why people have a hard time making money with Super Ego. There are a few reasons why people have a hard time making money with lease purchase period. For the same reasons that there are people who are owner operators who have a hard time making money. Okay. First one is people don't want to work. Okay. Driving company, the biggest two complaints that I saw, and I'm sure if they weren't your biggest two, they were things that you saw. The first one is that fleet managers and dispatch was complaining that drivers were hanging out at truck stops too long, stopping too many times at truck stops, and messing up their time and not getting their deliveries on time. The other one, drivers complaining, I've been on the road for 2 weeks, I've been on the road for 3 weeks, I haven't gone home yet, I want to go home, I want to go home, I want to go home. Okay. Now, you take drivers who want to hang out at truck stops, and you take drivers who want to go home, and you put them in a position where they have no boss. They work for themselves. They can go and do whatever they want. What you think they're going to do? I have seen the videos where people have said things like, Super Ego is calling me to make me drive and I can't make no money. Okay. Whenever somebody tells me that, whenever I hear that, I tell them, you're saying an untruth. I don't say it that nicely, but yeah, I tell them, you're saying an untruth. I know they're lying. Why do I know they're lying? Because first off, Super Ego isn't going to call you to tell you to drive. The closest thing I got to it, I picked up a load in California going to Texas. I had 4 days to deliver the load. I routed the run through my hometown. Took a day, spent time with my kids, spent time with my grandkids. I got a phone call. My phone call was, hey, Mr. Wagner, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm good. Why? Well, we haven't seen your truck move, so we want to make sure you weren't broke down or nothing. I said, nah, I stopped by the house so I can spend time with my kids and my grandkids. Oh, okay. All right, well, enjoy your time and have a good weekend, and if you need anything, let us know. That was it. That was it. Remember, you are your own boss. How you do it is up to you. The preference is you get there on time, but if you're late, I mean, that's on you. Okay? Ain't nobody calling to tell you what to do, tell you to get on the road. Ain't none of that. Yesterday, my dispatcher called me in the morning. And he tells me, he goes, John, what's the plans for the day? I said, well, my plan today is rest. I'm doing a 34. My 34 will be up at 4 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. He says, oh, okay, no problem. So then what's the plan for tomorrow? That's simple. Ain't nobody forcing you to drive. The next thing is that you guys have already heard me compare lease purchase to owner-operator. Okay. If you're an owner-operator and you go buy a truck from Freightliner, is Freightliner going to be calling you on a regular basis saying, hey, how come you're not working? How come you're not driving? No. However, you miss some of them truck payments, you're going to get a phone call? Oh, yeah. And with Super Eagle, the same thing. If you're not making money, if you're not making your truck payments, if you're sitting at home, at that point, I imagine you'll get a phone call. I say I imagine because it's never happened to me. But one thing I do know for a fact, is that in this part of our business, our job is to drive trucks. It's in our title. We're truck drivers. We got to drive trucks. Okay? And if you're driving your truck, you should be making something. Right? Well, these people are admittedly saying Super Ego is calling them to tell them they need to drive their trucks. They're forcing them to drive their trucks. Okay. Well, they can't drive two trucks, right? So if they were getting that phone call telling them they need to drive, what truck is it they need to drive? Their truck. Well, if they're not driving their truck, the fact that they're not making money, kind of self-explanatory. We are not going to make money for couch sitting and parking lot pimping. That's not what we're paid for. We're paid to drive. I told you you're going to hear me talk a lot about responsibility and accountability. Okay? We live in a world right now where there's a lot of entitlement. And people don't take responsibility. People are not accountable for their actions. They're always blaming somebody else. I know for a fact, if I have to call somebody to say, are you going to go do your job today? That person ain't making money. And it ain't my fault. It ain't the company's fault. It ain't the business's fault. They were adult enough to make the decision to hang out in those parking lots and to spend all their time at home. They need to be responsible enough if they're going to make videos to say, you know, I didn't drive. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. So therefore I didn't make money. And that's that reality. Okay? The other reason, I'm going to give you the overview because in part 2 I'm going to break it all down. By the time I'm done, you're going to understand everything. Okay? The other reason is you have a lot of guys that go to Super Ego who have got 5 years, 10 years, 20 years driving. And they go there and they know what they're doing. Supposedly. Well, if they were already owner operators, if they were already lease purchase operators and they were successful at it, they would already be driving their own trucks, right? Now, if you got 10, 15, 20 years in driving for company, what's the only thing that you're going to know? You're going to know how to read the BOLs. You're going to know how to put gas in your truck. And you're going to know how to drive it. Why is that all you're going to know? Because as a company driver, you're not doing any of the bookings. As a company driver, you're not setting up your fuel stops. Your fuel stops are given to you. As a company driver, you're not breaking down your expenses based on the price of the load. You're not. So, that being the case, how can you walk into a totally new environment where you have to do things you've never done and have an attitude or a mentality of, I already know what I'm doing? That's kind of like me getting in the cockpit of an airplane saying, oh, I can fly it. You ever flown a plane before, Mr. Wagner? Oh, hell no, but I can do it. I've been in a plane before. It doesn't work that way. And the mistake that people make is that they book jobs, they request jobs without really knowing what they're looking at. They look at the big number. Oh wow, this job's paying $3,000. This job's paying $5,000. This job's paying $6,000, and that's all they care about. So to give you an example of what I'm talking about, that's kind of like a builder calling a contractor. You notice I like doing analogies. It's like a builder calling a contractor. Tells the contractor, I want you to build me a house and I'm going to pay you $50,000. I'm going to give you a $50,000 budget. What you don't spend, you keep for your payment. Guy says, oh yeah, hell yeah, I'll do that. Signs the contract. Now he's responsible to build this house for $50,000. What's he building? All you know, he's supposed to build a house. You don't know if it's a 2-bedroom flat or a 2-story, 6-bedroom, 4.5 bath with a garage in the basement. Is he going to have enough money? So, for a contractor to be able to give an honest answer to a builder, he's got to see the plans. He's got to know what he's building. He's got to look at cost of material. He's got to look at his labor costs. He's got to look at time and what it's going to take to build it. There's a lot of details that go into quoting a price for building a house. You can't just throw a number out there. Do it. Well, when it comes to bidding jobs and it comes to getting jobs, it's the same thing. Just because you see $3,000 doesn't mean there's money in that load. You see $3,000, but you're driving a job that's 3,000 miles. Dispatch gets their cut. You got to cover your fuel. You got a truck payment, and it's a 4-day, 5-day load. You're broke. It's that simple. I mentioned to you before about guys walking out of orientation and not taking the time to learn what they're willing to teach them because they already know. That's what happens when you already know. So the big number is cool, but you have to know the details. You have to know what your costs are going to be. You have to know what your expenses are. You have to know what you have to do to make sure that you are making money. When I first started driving for Super Ego, my goal was not to do a load for less than $2 a mile. As I got into it, figuring things out, my goal was to make $500 a day. $500 a day covers my truck payment and puts $2,000 a week in my bank account. I hit it pretty regular. Now I've upped my goal to $750 a day. $750 a day pays my truck payment, and it puts $3,750 in my bank account. I told you guys before, my best check, $3,600. I was right there. So money is there. Money can be made. But to make that money, one, you have to be willing to drive. And two, you have to be willing to learn what it is that you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know the numbers, if you don't know the factors, how do you know if a price that you have on a load is a good price? Look, I can take a load that's $1,000. The gross payout is $1,000. 400 miles, and I can make $500 off that load. Run that load in one day. I do 7 of those. 3 days pays my truck payment. 4 days puts $2,000 in my bank account. Or I could do a $6,000 load. Delivers 3 days, make $1,500 on it. That's my truck payment, right? Or I could do a load for $1,000 and not make a dime. I could do a load for $6,000 and not make a dime. The difference is in the details. The difference is in the numbers. You have to pay attention to the details, and you have to know what to do with the numbers. If you're able to get that down, if you're able to do that, and you're willing to do the driving, the rest is just time and energy, getting comfortable, doing what you're doing. It is honestly very easy to make money at Super Ego. It's very easy to make money at Super Ego. And if you make the choice to come to Super Ego and you get into it and you take the advice that people give you, you take to heart at least some of the things that I'm putting in these videos, you'll make money too. It's very easy to make money at Super Ego. All right. So with the knowledge that you guys have already, hopefully you've stopped listening to some of that stuff. But if you still run across it, you still choose to listen to it. Listen to what they're saying. 99 times out of 100, they're telling you why they ain't making money. Just listen to what they're saying. You'll realize what they're saying doesn't make sense. I promise you. How do I know? Because when I started paying attention to what they were saying, I was blowing holes in their stories left and right. Blowing holes in their stories left and right. To the point that I just stopped looking at those videos. I stopped reading those reviews. I stopped. Why dedicate time and energy to stupidity? Stupidity and entitlement. I will never let that deter me or I will never allow that to make a decision for me. Ever. So I just stopped listening to it. So now you know. If you don't drive, you're not going to make money. That's just common sense. If you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to make money. I would say one other thing: you got to be self motivated. You got to be able to get yourself up and get yourself moving, motivate yourself to get things going. But that goes along with not driving. If you're not motivated, you're not going to drive. Anyway, that's it for this one. My next one, we're going to get into it. We're going to break down the loads. We're going to factor the loads. I'm going to do my best to give you a good understanding of how do you know if you're going to make money on a load. Again, the big number don't mean nothing. The big number don't tell you nothing. All right. Anyway, I'm shut down. My day is done. Ran from Oregon to Vegas today. Tomorrow, not Vegas, to Nevada. Sparks, Nevada. Tomorrow, headed to California. And then from California, who knows? Be safe. Have a good night. I'm out.